Okay, so this is another post which is likely to divide opinion. In fact, it's already divided opinion because over on X, there's a photograph posted by GMP Traffic, and it's of this police vehicle with the Range Rover behind it. Now, the post says that the leasing company contacted them to say that the driver of this Land Rover had stopped making payments and they were unable to contact him to get the vehicle back. The vehicle was stopped and the vehicle recovered. So obviously this photograph here showing the police stopping this vehicle and recovering it for the leasing company. Now, as you might expect, a lot of people in the comment section are saying, I'm not sure that the GMP should be acting as debt recovery agents. What are we doing now? Are we doing debt recovery, etc.? Surely this is a civil case. Is repossession the police business now? Has this been contracted out, etc., etc.? So all of those valid comments made against this post here. So I thought it was a good idea to come back and talk a little bit about this. Now, yes, indeed, it is ordinarily a civil matter in that the lease company should be going after the lessee of the vehicle to recover it. If they're not making payments, they've got contractual clauses to recover the vehicle, etc., etc. However, in the event, now I'm not saying that this has specifically happened because I don't know, but in the event that the police believe, or there's reason to believe, or they've been told that there's any kind of fraud going on, or this might amount to theft of the vehicle and so on, then the police do have a common law duty to both investigate crimes, to gather evidence, and they have statutory powers with which to do so. In particular, they have some under the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, among others. And specifically under Section 19 of PACE, there's a general power of seizure, and that is where police may seize anything which is on any premises that they have reasonable grounds to believe that it's been obtained in the consequence of the commission of an offence, and it's necessary to seize it to prevent it being concealed, lost, damaged, altered or destroyed. Again, reasonable grounds for believing that it's evidence in relation to an offence which they're investigating or any other offence, etc. So they have a general power of seizure. Now, if it's the case... Now, as I say, I'm not saying this is the case because I don't know, and I wouldn't say if I did know. But if it is the case that there's the belief that a fraud is going on here or theft is going on here, and without seizing the vehicle, it may be lost, it may be destroyed. A lot of these vehicles are stolen to order, or they're leased, and then they pay payments on them for a while, and then they stop making payments, and then they ship it abroad in a container. I've known cases where vehicles, high-end vehicles, have had a price paid to take the vehicle, put it in a container, and ship it abroad, and it's never seen again. They change all sorts of numbers and that sort of stuff, and that's what happens. So this could be theft, it could be fraud, it could be all manner of things. And the police have a general power of seizure to seize a vehicle if they believe it's been obtained in the consequence of the commission of an offence, or they have reasonable grounds for believing that it is evidence in relation to an offence which they're investigating, or etc. So if they believe, if there's reason on the paperwork, on the documentation, which you won't see and I don't have, if the police have seen any of this relevant documentation, the correspondence and all of that sort of stuff, then they will have a general power of seizure of that vehicle. And more simply than that, whilst I agree on the face of it, it is not the police job to go out and act as bailiffs and debt collectors and repossession men and that sort of thing, but that's not necessarily what we're talking about here. The police also have a common law and various statutory duties to prevent public disorder, public wrong, and so on. And so is it really that wrong? I pose this as a genuine question to you. Is it really that wrong for the police to seize a vehicle on which payments have been stopped and the lessee has just stopped making payments, stopped communicating, and stopped having any kind of correspondence with the lease company? The lease company, therefore, is going to lose out. Now, people think of leasing companies as these big companies with tens of millions of pounds in the bank. That's not always the case. They may be much smaller companies. They start off with a few vehicles and so on. So it could be anything in between. And it doesn't really matter whether it's one of the smaller companies or one of the bigger companies. It is still a wrong if someone does that with the deliberate intention of taking a vehicle, not paying for it, hiding, ducking and diving the lease company. So I come back to the question, is it really so wrong that the police do exercise these powers to seize something that they might reasonably believe has been involved or obtained in the commission of some sort of offence, for example, fraud? If your vehicle was stolen by somebody and you wanted the police to go and recover it because an offence has been committed, you would want the police to go and recover your vehicle. Now, whilst this is not, on the face of it, a standard theft of a vehicle, taking without consent as it is known under the Theft Act, if it is not a standard one, but it is an offence. It is likely to be an offence if, in any general case where someone has deliberately stopped making payments for the purposes of keeping that vehicle, and it has become dishonest appropriation. So just to very briefly cover over that, it can be a criminal conversion, it can be theft if someone dishonestly appropriates something, which can happen after you've originally had it. It can happen whilst it's in your possession. It can become dishonest appropriation, and it can become dishonest, and if you intend to keep it. So these offences can happen. And is it so wrong that the police get involved in that? I'm not so sure that is, because if the police just did nothing and washed their hands of it, even though they knew the vehicle is there, and if they know that it's been involved in some kind of fraud and they knew it's there but they didn't do anything about it, I'm sure there'd be a queue of people to complain about the police for not doing anything about it. Let me know what you think. This one, as I say, will probably genuinely split and divide opinions, but I don't think it's necessarily so wrong that the police do lend a hand when they are able to do so. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next time.